Okay, so here we are, we're at this storage unit. Let's go check this out. So this is a situation where the contractor's like, you know what, I'm done. So we'll see what's in here. All right, right out of the gate, I see a pressure washer, but that doesn't mean it works. Okay, so this guy has got a bunch of tile here. I'm looking at the colors on the tile. This is the same tile I put in my bathroom at my house, and it was expensive. Yeah, this was wildly expensive when we bought it. You know, you've got this table here. This is pretty heavy duty. It weighs a lot. So that's basically a work table, and it's a Craig, so it's going to be expensive. Okay, so what this is it's a rolling platform to work off of. Some people call it a stage. Something, you know, probably 400 bucks. Okay, some things I see. Okay, this is a MIG welder. So no gas welder. All right, so a little MIG welder like that. Something similar, not exactly the same one, some other off-brand one. $279 is what that goes for. These are extensions for painting and for texturing stuff. Right down here is a paint sprayer. Okay. Here, if you've ever bought chain, you can appreciate what, you know, 30, 40 things of chain is worth. All this tile here, you're probably talking, this is $600 or $700 or $800 or $900, maybe even $1,000 worth of tile. How much of it's exactly the same, I don't know. I know that these 6 boxes right here are the same. That would be enough to do, you know, most of a shower, if not all of a shower. So then we've got, you know, tile cutter here. Those are like 40 bucks. We've got a toolbox. There's nothing in that. This is a tile roller for when you're smoothing out things. He's here again. You keep showing up. What the hell? You act like you got a job. All right, so some of that. And then we got some Airbnb stuff, cups, glasses. This has no bottom in it. Toaster. That's a pretty expensive looking little toaster. I'm trying to get these before they fall out and break. A kebab basket. And more bowls. So this is a nice little find. Here you go, Greg. All right, and then we got this, which is a diamond blade saw. Okay, it's probably, you know, 150 bucks, 100 bucks, depending on if it's a Harbor Freight brand. So some pretty good finds here. You know, we got some shovels. We can always put shovels to use with our day-to-day stuff. Just a bunch of random stuff. This is all stuff. So basically this contractor is just kind of moving on, doing something different. Moving blankets. All this stuff ends up adding up. Bunch of hand tools. All this stuff will sell at the shop just fine. Here's a wheelbarrow, shop vac, a working platform. So this is all just contractor stuff. So this is something to stand on while you're working on the ceilings in like a residential house or any place really. All right, right here is something that. So as the guys clean this out, there's going to be a lot more stuff in here that probably has value. Let's take this out and see what we got here. So a nice Makita circular stall. Let's see what these things run. All right, look at that. So that's a little router. This, you run boards down it and it routes the edges of them so you can make your own baseboard. All right, here we go. Shop vac. So they're saying that this kind of a saw, magnesium saw, they're $199 brand new. Used or refurbished might go from $40 to $175. So shop vac like this, 100 bucks. We got us a wheelbarrow coming out right now. And the guys are making room up in the truck right now. Got wheels for the rolling scaffolding. So these wheels probably go with this. Yeah, so there are some more really cool things back in here. So these guys are gonna get to unloading this. There's all kinds of stuff in here and it all has value. It's stuff that the contractor was using to conduct a contracting business. So what our guys are gonna do, this in the day, this is what I would do. I would show up and I would unload this whole thing out. And then what I'll do is I'll separate it as I go. I'll put all the same tile with the same tile. I put the different parts and pieces of like the rolling scaffolding. I'll put all that stuff together and things like that. And then when we get to the shop, then all this stuff will be a price will be put on it, and we'll see what works, what doesn't work, and so on and so forth. So something like this, we could sell this on eBay. Probably worth just as much money in this marketplace if we sold it right from our shop. This right here, same thing. Probably worth the same amount of money either way. Something as simple as this, you know, this might be 20 foot of wire. This might be $100 worth of wire right here. So the biggest thing is being able to look it up, find out what kind it is, and then we'll put it on Craigslist or eBay and sell it. And silly stuff like that, it can be hundreds of dollars. Things like this wheelbarrow, we'll keep that for our operations. The shop vac, same thing. We might probably keep this as well. This will sell. We don't do a lot of fabrication. This router thing we would sell. The lights we may or may not keep. The wiring we're definitely going to sell. The pressure washer, we don't need any more pressure washers. That's it looks like a pretty heavy duty pressure washer. So once that gets out, we'll get a value on that. So now he's got another pressure washer back there, and that's a Honda. A lot of times this kind of stuff, you just don't, so what we got to do is take it back to the shop. Our mechanic actually has a lot of small engine experience. He can fix stuff like this really easily. A lot of times if there's two pressure washers in there, one of them doesn't work. Or he couldn't figure out where it was at because he's got things that are in there in a pile. You know, what happens is you're tired, end of the day, you come here and you drop off stuff to get it out of your truck because you're using your truck this weekend to do something fun. And then what happens is you end up with a pile and a mess, and then you get tired of going through it and trying to figure out where everything's at. And that's just a progression of things. And if you're not happy, a lot of times working in these high-end markets, you have very strong personalities and people that are difficult to get along with, and it kind of wears you out as a contractor. So it's pretty common to see people just get sick and tired of it and just move on and start doing something else, or they get injured and they don't recover from the injury, or they get old enough, then they're just like, you know, I just don't want to do this anymore. And then they're paying $150, $200 a month for a storage unit, and eventually they just say, you know what, this stuff's really got yard sale value, so I'm just gonna get the guys that remove it to go pick it up for me. And I know they'll give me a good price because they're gonna repurpose all this stuff and resell it. So, you know, more or less all this stuff is worth yard sale prices if he's gonna resell it himself, unless he wants to spend the time to actually put everything on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace and make sure everything works and meet 100 different people to sell everything that's in here. So, okay, so hey, this looks like it's gonna be worth a lot of money. I don't know, we'll have to figure it out. So we're gonna go through this as the guys get everything unloaded and we find out what works and what doesn't work. You know, it could be several $1,000s worth of stuff. It could be worth, you know, $1,000. It could be worth $500. I don't know, we're just gonna have to see. These are the kind of things that are kind of exciting, kind of fun. And if you're in the junk removal business, this is a situation where if you're following us on the school program that we have, you know, this is making money coming and going. So we're getting paid to do the junk removal, and then we're also getting paid because we're going to resell all this stuff and we repurpose it instead of just throwing it in the dump trailer and taking it to the dump and dumping it off. As you see, there's all kinds of things in this storage unit they're things that we can use for our Airbnbs, like those cups or something that we would use in our Airbnbs. That's definitely not going to go to waste. You notice how we're sorting this out. Part of the stuff's going to go into the dump trailer. And this is stuff that we know that we can't sell. It definitely has value, those baseboards. And then the paint cans. A lot of these times the paint cans,
what we'll do is we'll put them in one spot on the trailer. We'll bring them back and we put them in a big pile, and then we do a curb alert and sell and give them away on Craigslist. A lot of people reuse that kind of stuff. And then all this little stuff like this. Take the tools. That caulk gun's worth what, $5? So for us, it'll just end up getting rolled into our Airbnb guys. So this is Greg. Greg's been with us for a long time. He's super cool. That little DeWalt tool there, I'm thinking it's probably $30. You know, those kind of things, they really add up. The saw blades, you know, you're probably talking $20-$30. Here you are, a whole bunch of paint cans again, that kind of stuff. They'll take a certain amount of it at the C&D yard, but the majority of it, if it's got a bunch in it, a bunch of paint in it, we take it back and we do the curb alert. So it's all kinds of crazy. You know, there's another shop vac. There was 2 shop vacs in there. So that shop vac probably about $20. You know, we looked this up. It was $279. That was a little MIG welder, brand new. So probably worth $100 maybe. The fan, $10 maybe. We are in our slower part of the year, and we do a little bit more junk removal stuff during that part of the year. There's certain parts of the year where all we do is just a selective demolition on these high rises and stuff. It's just very specialized work. Each one of those saw blades there can be worth $30 to $50 depending on what they are. These are receptacles, definitely can roll them into our Airbnbs. And here's the other shop vac. That's probably about $120 at Home Depot. You know, probably worth $50 to selling it if we sold it somewhere. Most likely that'll end up on our on one of our trucks. We go through them like crazy. These kind of things here, those boots, those are expensive. They're very expensive. This is an air compressor. The air compressor probably worth $100, probably $250 or $250 brand new. The boots, they can be very expensive. They can be $80, $90, $100. It just depends. He sees those as if you're in a wet environment and you wear those, you don't have soggy feet all day long. There's nail guns in that in the Home Depot can. Those cans, we use those 5-gallon cans for a lot of things, and they'll get dispersed amongst all our trucks. There's a whole bunch of them. Again, there's that air compressor. You know, the majority of the stuff in this unit is going to work, probably 90% of it. Now, we'll have to test it because we're going to resell this stuff. Hey, there's a big wheel. Ooh, I like big wheels. I loved my big wheel when I had one, especially going down the hill and spinning around in circles. It was a blast. So this is a Honda pressure washer. Got both the pressure washers back at the shop. They were testing them to see if they worked. So the thing about it, when you unload a storage unit like this, sometimes not all the pieces and parts are there. So we have so many pressure washers and we go through them so quickly. We have the pieces and parts for them. You know, the shovels and that stuff, they're worth $5. That is a reel for a air compressor hose. Probably $80 brand new, probably worth $40. This right here is a paint sprayer, you know, probably $100, $150 for that at Home Depot. You know, worth half of that or a little less, probably $40, $50. The insulation, that's something we'll use on our Airbnbs. All that stuff will get rotated over to that there. And it'll just save us, you know, $40, $50 depending on how much it is. Now these are, those are shelves. And the shelves, we reuse the shelves. People buy them from the shop. $20, $30, depends on what they are. The tile sitting there, We're talking probably $1,000 worth of tile there. Looks like it's two different types of tile. A lot of times what we do is we use the tile in a certain way and we'll make a design. So if we don't have enough to do the whole shower, we'll make it, we'll just do something that's kind of cool. We don't want to do anything hokey, but we'll do something kind of cool, and we'll take two different types of tile and go into the shower with it on our Airbnbs, and then it looks fabulous. So this is all just debris that he's throwing into the dump trailer. So again, the dump trailer, we bring it along, and that's the stuff that's going to go to the dump. All the stuff that you're seeing sitting around there, they're going to use, they're setting it out there because they're going to have to pack it a certain way, and it's better to know what they got. This right here, he's looking at that to see if it's like a USB cord or if it's a C end. If not, then it'll end up just getting thrown away. A lot of times we'll put that stuff into a bin and take it back and then take it to the scrap metal part of what we're doing. And they'll cut the ends off of it, and we'll just take it to the scrap yard. In an ideal, perfect world, we do all of that. Not all the guys fully understand the full mission that we do. So, and then a lot of the stuff like that right there, that painter's tarp, that would be $20 to $50 to buy it. Doesn't have a lot of value because we don't really focus on this kind of stuff. We can sell this stuff at our shop mainly because we're selling kitchen cabinets and appliances, and we're selling vanities and stuff like that. So contractors are coming in and buying that stuff, and they see all this contractor stuff and they think, wow, I could really use one of those. So this is another one of these working platforms. Those platforms are good for when you're working on ceilings, or you're putting in lights, or you've got to be elevated, about a foot into a room. So if you're 6 foot tall and that's 1.5 feet tall, and your arms can reach 2 feet, well, you can do a 8 foot ceiling. So that right there in his hand is a 7-inch grinder. I'd say it's worth about $40 used. That's a Harbor Freight kind of a brand, Chinese brand. So when we're done, the shelves will go with us. All those bins are going to have different things in them. That little grabber box that he just picked up is going to be, they're going to be nail coils for the nail guns. And in each one of these boxes, you're going to find all kinds of different things. So again, more paint. I told you what we do with the paint. And then Austin's been with us for, he's been back and forth. A lot of these guys, they're back and forth. We see them. They go somewhere for a while, they come back. They go somewhere for a while, come back. It's just the nature of the beast when you're in the labor business. So right there, he's looking at that Makita tool set there. That's probably a drill set. All right, we're $10 used if it's got most of the stuff in it. Those bins and stuff, those are all worth money too. We just don't have the yard sale kind of setup that you need to sell that kind of stuff. So we got to be selective about what we take back. Our warehouse is 20-something thousand square foot inside and out, and with the Connex boxes and that, and we just can't cover and carry everything. Unfortunately, a lot of this stuff ends up in the trash, a lot more of it than what we really want to go to the trash, but not nearly what would be going to the trash if it was not somebody with our setup. So, that right there, that whole box, We can normally sell a toolbox like that with a bunch of different doodads in it and stuff like that for 20, 30 bucks. So the toolbox itself is pretty nice. It's got a little front to it. And they're just trying to figure out what it is or whether they want to throw it away or bring it back to the shop. So the answer is bring it back to the shop, unless of course it's all gooed up. Sometimes you get paint or glue or whatever in it, and so that's a pretty nice little toolbox. Probably could get 40, 50 bucks out of that. Those heavy duty bins, those are really nice. If you have to buy them, I think they're like 10 bucks a piece now. So these boxes are back at the shop, and 30, 40 bucks for those. People like to use those for, Lee said that there's ladies that come into the shop and they like to use them for tack for their animals and stuff. The moving blankets, if you can dust them off good enough, we can use as many moving blankets as you can possibly get. And then as they're going, they're sweeping up and cleaning. So one of the beauties of our business, or one of the beautiful things that we do, is when we're done, we sweep everything up, clean everything up, and leave people with a nice clean little pallet. Wonder what that was that was running there, if that was a roach or one of them geckos. That is a laser level, by 30 bucks. That router there probably can get 40 bucks out of it. So we got some real goodies out of this. Look at this. This is all stuff that's going to be packed into the truck and brought back to the shop and repurposed, instead of just thrown in a dump trailer and taken to the dump and dumped into the landfill. So all this stuff, we gave this guy a better price because we knew we were getting stuff. There's a little miniature shop vac. That's a cordless one, which is really cool. When you're doing small stuff and you're like working up on a countertop, probably about 150, 200 bucks for it brand new. Got out of touch with some of that stuff. I haven't been buying stuff myself. It's kind of fun for us. I've been doing this a long time. I still get excited about it. It's a bunch of free stuff, more or less. It's not free in the sense that, we're spending labor and spending time doing it, but we're getting paid to do the junk removal. So the guys get paid off of that and our insurance and everything. And then a lot of this just ends up being icing on the cake. What they're doing here is they're going to take this shelf apart, and so they can fit it up into the dump trailer. And they're doing what demo guys do. They're going to demo it. When they put this together, they put it together to last. So in an ideal situation, that would come back to the shop and we could sell that for like 30, 40 bucks. The problem is having the space. So I wondered if they could just put that up on top of the trailer, but the trailer looks pretty full. So I see what they're doing. They gotta keep your load covered driving on the streets. It's one of the rules, one of the laws. So you don't have stuff floating all over on these nice streets, especially in Naples. So Greg's probably been with us 3 years. He started out as a laborer. He's a crew leader. The gentleman with the glasses and the hat, probably been with us for two years maybe. Austin, 6 maybe, or 7 years. Long time. Kind of a cool thing. We got a nice culture. We pay well. and you have insurance, and you're part of a culture. People will see you like at Home Depot, or they'll see you at Racetrack or whatever, and they'll say really nice things about our company, because most everybody's had really good experiences with us, because we're coming in and we're doing the dirty work for them. We're doing the crappy crap for them, and they really appreciate that. So they remember it when they get done, and they're not aggravated with the company. They're thrilled to death because we got everything done, we got everything packed up, and we got everything that they asked us to do completed. And there's a procedure to all that. Our Google reviews say a lot about this. We have a junk removal course. We started our whole business out. We do a bunch of different things now, but we started a junk removal. I wrote a book on it, on how we do junk removal different. And to us, as a junk removal, to a 1-800-JUNK or a normal junk removal company, they're going to keep a certain couple things or 10 things or whatever out of this. But a lot of the junk removal models, at least the franchise ones, all this stuff would have just got taken straight to the dump and dumped off into the landfill. It's just, that's their business model. Their business model is based off the size of their truck. They charge per piece of the truck. Us, we come in with a dump trailer and a box truck because we want the stuff, because we're going to resell it. That's our business model. We're we're a junk removal company, but we're a resale company just as much. It's good for them, good for us, good for the guys that are working for us. It keeps everybody busy. Again, this time of the year, we do a lot of junk removals, and we do a lot of big junk removals because the other companies, the amount of money it would cost to do their truck at $800 per load or whatever is significant. And I don't know that any of them have changed their business models and are doing and giving you a credit on the value of what's in there. That's pretty much what we do right there. We've been doing this since the junk removal part since 2007. The demolition parts as Remove It Pro since 2014. Actually been a demolition company since 2010. And again, look down in the comments. You can see our school community if you want to learn more about how to do what we do. This is just a way for us to get stuff to resell. That's our junk removal model. So we're not charging as much on the junk removal itself, because we see the $5,000 worth of value, or roughly $5,000 worth of value of stuff in this thing. There's $10,000 worth of stuff in that shop. If you had to go buy in that storage unit, if you had to go buy the stuff individually, and then what's it worth? And when you're selling it used, it might be $2,000, it might be $3,000. I don't know. We won't really know for sure, because we're going to use some of it for our Airbnbs, and we're going to use some of it for our business, day-to-day business, what we're doing every day. They're tools that we use all the time. And then we're going to sell a lot of the stuff that we just don't need, like we don't need work tables and stuff like that. All right, so the grand total is $3,615. Now, that is a yard sale value. That's our Craigslist value. The retail value of all this stuff would be over $6,000 for sure. So if you had to go and buy all this stuff and start out a new contracting business, it'd be at least $6,000. What do you think on this one?
All right, so we're going to do this one at $375. The employee's going to buy it, and then another employee's going to buy this one, and we're doing $225.
$225. So those are pretty high-end pressure washers then, right?
Yeah, this one especially, but this one's good as well, and they both work fine.
They both work fine. Okay, let me ask you about this right here. What about this?
Yeah, so this is a little tile cutting machine, and this is a little
it's a router.
Yeah. We're doing $199 and $99.
All right, cool.
Yeah, somebody will snatch these up pretty quickly.
Okay, and we have a lot of contractors in here all the time, right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
All right, Lee.
Have a great day, everybody.
Here you go. This is a prime example of junk removal and how it works. So this is how we got ahead very quickly when we first started our business. So if you're interested in learning how to do more of that for yourself, guess what? Check out our video. We got a free video. It's our $99 course. We're giving it away for free for a limited time. And you can see that down in the comments. It'll be pinned at the very top of the comments. It'll also be in our description. The other thing that I want to talk to you about is, hey, isn't this really cool? This is what this community is all about. is all this crazy stuff that we end up getting in these luxury markets. It's just freaking mind-blowing. So thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video. And hey, check out this video right here on the 7-story building where we got all kinds of crazy stuff. People left 20 units full of all kinds of stuff. We just couldn't get away from any of that, huh?